walking up to my Goodwill bins to see if I could find items to flip for a profit online, hairy tornado style. And the bins here are pretty similar to what you're going to see in hairy tornado type of videos. So as we come up, you can see a bunch of bins out. On the left, it's going to be stuff that's not closed, and you can just look through anything, and it's $1.99 a pound. So I find a bunch of plush. Horror DVDs is a big category, so I picked that one up right there. Left in Darkness early on. I ended up checking it later. It wasn't worth the pickup, so I put it back. But DVDs are actually 69 cents here. And there's a ton of other stuff. So here I found a big bag of buttons. And I was looking through, and there's some old buttons. That was at Woodstock from Peanuts button, the gold one in there. And it said 1965 on the back. And there were some Snoopy ones in here that said 1958 on the back. So I ended up looking through them, and I was planning on just picking out some of the good ones. And I ended up just throwing the entire thing in my bag. It probably weighed a little over a pound, so it cost maybe $2.50 or something like that. And I actually ended up buying the bag, and I meant to look it up later. And then another thing I found early was these Mazda CX-5 floor mats, which were in really good condition. They look a little dirty, but they actually were in great condition. And initially I just saw two of them. I looked up the floor mats, and I didn't see the ones that are like carpet material. It was just plastic ones, and I ended up actually passing on these. I later came across two more, so I really would have had four. Maybe I should have got those. Ended up not getting them. And there's the other one, the third or fourth. And then saw this racket. I think it's a racquetball racket. It looked like brand new condition. Head, decent brand. You know, I could take it to play it against sports, which I do sometimes, but decided to pass on that. That Trump hat passed. Jamaica hat. A lot of hats I usually pick up here. Hats, bags, plush, toys, DVDs, video games, things like that is what I usually find at my Goodwill bins. And you can see I'm searching here because there's a lot of hats in this bin, but a lot of them were just really dirty or not good. This bag, though, was pretty interesting. Really good pattern, and looked like, you know, I thought a decent brand because the tag looked pretty official, but I couldn't even find a brand name on the bag, so I ended up throwing it back. It felt maybe a bit cheap. And then this hat I thought was that one brand, but it's just a knockoff of it. I can't think of the brand. I'll put up a comp. Tap Out maybe, or something like that. Then these shoes were interesting, but all those boxes were empty. Vicky shoes, I never heard of that. And then we had another random hat. Coming around to this side, it looked like more bags, and then I go to another bin, and some more plush, just random stuff. A lot of large items, not a ton of items in these bins either. And, you know, just throwing stuff around, trying to look for stuff that people missed. And I did not mention yet in this video that my Goodwill bins, every 20 to 30 minutes, takes out half the bins and fills them with new bins. So we will get a refill of bins here, fresh bins. And then this is a sealed DVD, and I thought it was worth it. I picked it up, and I later found out it was not worth it. Again, another DVD, Indiana Jones. Every Indiana Jones, a 4-pack DVD set, ended up not being worth it. Some Bibles sometimes can go for a good amount of money. Ended up not picking up either of those. This one was a little dirty, even though it doesn't look that dirty in the video. Another DVD set here, Sherlock Holmes in a collector's edition tin. Sometimes those are worth it, but very rarely. I looked that up. I think I put it in my bag, but threw it back. It wasn't worth it. And then another thing I thought could be worth it here, Disney Biblical Stories, 12 books in one thing, and they would charge you 69 cents for a book set as well, so I thought it could be worth it. There was two listed on eBay, I think for like 25 bucks, and the other one for like 40, but there were no sales on them, so I threw it back. This wallet looked a little promising, but it was like brand new, but not really a brand. And then this box I thought could have been something. I opened it up and there was nothing in it. Another DVD set, Boardwalk Empire, and I put that in my bag, I believe. Looked it up later. It was not worth it. I really only am going to buy a DVD if it can sell more for at least 15 bucks. You know, I don't really want to mess with stuff that's going to sell for $10 or less. And then this bag I thought could be Lululemon or something, but it was just a non-name brand. And more stuff here, giant Squishmallow and a hat I thought could have been good, looked good, but it was a brand I had never heard of and felt kind of cheap. And then coming over to another bin, we had an old basketball in its new case still. It's like a used basketball they put back in the case. Interesting. I've never seen that before. A lot of toys and stuff over here. And randomly, just one Pokemon card. A Yugioh, who I've heard of. He's on the Pokemon Silver game. It wasn't hollow, but I threw that in my bag. I think it ended up, I looked it up, it ended up being like a $5 card. So not bad when you're buying something for $2 a pound and one Pokemon card. But then I searched this entire bin, because usually when you find one Pokemon card, there's multiple other ones, especially if it's a good one like that, and like a name brand character that, you know, is kind of big name, would sell for something. And I thought there would be other ones here, because usually people scoop up Pokemon cards even if they're not like good ones at all, and that one had potential, but that was literally the only one I saw in the bin. Then found this PFG hat. PFG's a pretty good brand, so picked that up. It was like brand new condition. I love selling hats on Whatnot or eBay. Probably a hat like that may sell for $10 to $15 on eBay, but when I go live on Whatnot, I can sell hats for $2, $3, $4, $5, and you know, they weigh like a fourth of a pound, so about 50 cents. Some other hats here. It is another really good one. Definitely look out for this style hat, Gurin Bros. They have a ton of hats, and some are rare for whatever reason. They just didn't make a ton of them. This one, I'll put up comps of the Rooster hat. A lot of them sell for a ton of money, but I didn't find this exact one for sale, so it could be a really good one. And now here's a bag that had a really odd shape to it, so I looked into it for a sec and then found it's just too dirty. Another hat. This one might have been worth it. I think it was like a fishing brand on an Ouray tag, but ended up throwing it back. Another bag that looked a little promising, but you know, I don't think even a tag in there of what brand it was. And then this pickleball paddle, Head brand, which makes really good and expensive pickleball paddles. I play pickleball, so I knew this is actually a good paddle, but it's weird. There were so many scratches on the front that I wondered if someone like scratched off the paint because I've never really seen a blank one like that. But you could definitely tell it was a high quality paddle. It's probably $100 brand new, but this front was just way too scratched, the face of it. So I threw it back. I don't know, maybe a bad decision on that one, but I didn't even know like what head model that was or anything to look it up. So another bag I found here, Yugioh, I think it was Yugioh or Yugioh. I thought it could have been a good brand. It kind of seemed like a designer brand, and it was like plastic glossy material. I ended up putting it in my bag and then looked them up later, and they do sell. I think there was like 800 listed and like 250 sold, which isn't terrible for bags, but the like plastic style ones were selling between 15 and 20 bucks. Here's another Squishmallow with the tag, but if it's not a character from like Disney or Pokemon or something, I don't think they're worth it. And Crochet Bears, sometimes I can pick those up. This one still had a tag on it from like a discount store, so ended up not picking that toy up. And some more plush over here, another Squishmallow rabbit, you know, non-brand names. Mega Bloks, giant thing. I think it was probably like 5 pounds of Mega Bloks, but I just didn't want to go through and look if everything was there, and I don't even know if Mega Bloks sell. And then, you know, even at $5, you're paying $10 for that. I think most you could probably get 30-ish if a lot of pieces are there, so I put it back. Then found another bin with a bunch of hats. Found a really interesting hat here. It was like a sun visor hat, but the blue part was like plasticky, and the rest of it was hat material, which was a weird hat, but didn't have a brand name, so I put it back. Looking through some more hats, I found this one. You could hear, yeah, right there. I say it's Obey. So Obey, I know it's a decent like skate brand, so I ended up picking that hat up, and you know, probably a good whatnot item. Some of these bins just have so many giant things. This entire bin probably has like 50 things, and they're all just giant things. So you can look through them pretty quickly. But then there's all the other bins like this that have a ton of tiny stuff on the bottom. This one I thought could have been something. It said LC, and I opened it up. I was like, didn't know what that was. I think it was Liz Claiborne though, which I kind of recognize is not a great brand, so I threw that back. And then I found this case of CDs, which I love finding these because sometimes you can find vintage rap CDs that do really well. I've sold a bunch of vintage rap CDs for some big money, but this seemed like it had some rap in the beginning, and then I think it was mostly like Spanish music. So I didn't grab anything from there. And then I found another bag, but again, just kind of no-name bags, even though they're nice and in good condition. I don't really pick that stuff up. Another hat, which seemed decent, but I forget the brand, but I threw that one back. Giant polar bear plush. I thought that vest looked nice, but I didn't even look for a brand on it. I don't really do clothes. There's just so many clothes to look through, and I don't really know too much about them. And also, they take up so much space, and honestly, they're kind of heavy. Like a t-shirt, I think it's like over £1 for a t-shirt. And if you get like a sweatshirt, jacket, it can be 2-3 pounds. This DVD looked really interesting. My recorder cut off the title of it, and it was in there. I forget what it was. I thought it could maybe be worth some money, but the case was really cracked on the side, so I ended up throwing it back. I don't really do shoes either. A lot of these bins have just a ton of shoes, or some of them are just solely shoes, and I just don't even mess with shoes because sometimes they're really heavy. Okay, this platter, I was trying to find, there's me in my recording glasses. I was trying to find anywhere if this was real silver or even silver plated. Couldn't find it anywhere on there. Ultimately, I threw it back, but it had some good weight to it. And if that thing was straight silver, probably worth a lot. I know the price of silver actually recently dropped from that insane rise like last month, but it still would have been worth it if it was silver, 100%. And then CDs, DVDs, they have entire bins dedicated to CDs and DVDs, but some just came across here. So I looked at them, and here we actually went over to those specific bins. These ones, I don't believe they refresh during the day. I think they just bring them out in the morning, which they used to bring out individual ones that aren't as full as this every 30 minutes, and they were really good. I found some crazy stuff in those, like anime DVDs, and this was the biggest score, I thought, at least. In this bin, there was a bag of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Just a massive bag of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Probably 200 plus Yu-Gi-Oh cards in here. So I thought, I'm 100% grabbing this. I looked through it a little bit already, not in the video, but later after I came home, and it's probably like 80% Yu-Gi-Oh. There's some other stuff in there as well, some Garbage Pail Kids and stuff. But I thought it'd be worth it. Probably weighed 2 pounds, so it was like $4. Here's a Star Trek DVD set, 5 DVDs in there. There's no barcode on there, which is annoying because with DVDs you can really quickly just scan the barcode and see what they're selling for on eBay, but that one didn't have it, so I had to throw it in there. Alright, coming back, this is when they put out the new bin, so it gets pretty hectic in here. There's a ton of people in these brand new bins rifling through these. It gets pretty crazy, and I don't think I got too much here. I went for the toy bins because, you know, I probably had the best luck with finding like plush that's worth a good amount, so that's what I went for at first. I wasn't really finding much, and like these guys, I don't know what these people dig for. This guy next to me was going crazy for like these mini toys, like Hot Wheels. That's what he was scrambling for here. And a lot of those guys were doing that same thing. I don't really know that strategy. I guess some Hot Wheels can be worth it, but I was looking through the plush. I did pick up this little Stitch, pink Stitch, and then a little Bulbasaur keychain, and then this guy is from Dora the Explorer. I think his name's Boots. And so I got those 3 little plush. Saw Nemo there, didn't pick him up. And then that I saw sitting there, I thought it was a Charizard plush, so I picked it up and looked at it and, you know, ultimately put it back. You can see later in the video, I actually see this lady that has it in her bag. And then a backpack here from Vera Bradley. Looked really good condition, but you could see on the back, or else you just couldn't really see. There was too much damage on the back. And then this bag was interesting because there was this tag like the bag had been auctioned off. You can kind of see the tag in the video, but I was looking everywhere for a brand and couldn't find a brand. That tag basically makes it seem like it was from an auction, but you know, I didn't really know, so I threw it back. And then this next bin had some tennis rackets. I love finding tennis rackets because I go to play it against sports every once in a while, just like Harry Tornado does sometimes. And you know, if they're good rackets, they'll give you a decent amount. I found 2 Babolat rackets the other day, and they gave me like 25 bucks a piece for the Babolats. Probably could have sold them on Marketplace or something for 50 each, but you know, when you get that money in hand pretty quickly, it's nice. But those rackets were just kind of cheap rackets. Even though one of them was in good condition, I threw both of them back. I picked up these silverware. If you find matching packages of silverware like that, I tend to just look at them, make sure they're not silver, but those were stainless steel. If you get a bunch of knives like that in a set, if that was you know, sterling silver, maybe I don't know, 80 bucks or something. So definitely worth taking a peek at that stuff. This booth was mostly dishes, but I saw this Hoover bag. I think I go back to it, yeah. And it's a bunch of vacuum parts. I thought it could be worth picking up just to look up the parts and see if they individually sell for anything, but ultimately decided it probably was not worth it. So threw it back. Then more toy bins here. Here's another plush I did pick up. It was a very unique brand and plush. I can't exactly remember the brand right now, but it was a seahorse, which you also don't see every day, and just looks really high quality, so I did pick that one up. And then I found this Harry Potter wallet.
It's got like sand in there, I think it's falling apart.
Yeah, the inside.
Yeah, this guy found a boxing glove. You can hear his little laugh there too at the end. And he's like held it up to me and is like, "Box ya?" And I was like, "What?" But yeah, another software from like the early 2000s about picture editing. Thought that was kind of funny. That was a really creepy looking plush. I threw it back. I don't think it was from anything. I don't know what that bag was. It looked nice at first, but then I think it was just too basic. I didn't really see a brand. This one I thought was interesting. It was a Rocks and Minerals kit. It seemed pretty old and vintage, so I did look it up. And, you know, there was a bunch on there. I think like 20 of them listed, and some listed as low as like $7. This Batman Build-A-Bear I did see some kid that got it. He wasn't really a kid. He's like in high school probably. He ended up buying that. And then I found this plush of the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland, but has a really long tail. This one's actually pretty good on eBay, so I ended up picking this one up, and it was a great condition. So got that, and then I saw the lady next to me was rifling through plush, so I decided to go to this bin and find some plush. But I don't know if you saw in her little basket there, she did have that kangaroo that I thought was a Charizard and some other ones like non brand name plush. So I was like, I don't really know if she knows what she's picking here. And then we're back to the DVDs, books, CD section. I found some promising things. Again, I'm looking for horror movies, cartoons, mostly like TV show cartoons, and anime stuff. Mostly, sometimes some new sealed stuff. So I did pick up that Iron Giant sealed DVD. I feel like I heard somewhere that that was a rare one, but ultimately I threw that one back after scanning it. I have some other decent finds here in the DVD section, so stay tuned to see some of these kind of fun ones. So here I found a horror, My Bloody Valentine 3D, and I ended up looking that one up. It wasn't worth it, but horror DVDs are good, especially horror VHS. There wasn't that many VHS here today. Old rap CDs I like to look up as well. I did pick up an old rap CD, and then there was a South Park, but it was like a Christmas special, only 3 episodes on there, so I figured that one wasn't worth it. But I ended up picking up a Warren G. Oh, so that was an interesting one I looked up. I thought it was a horror movie, but that ended up being not worth it either. I picked up a Warren G. Regulate is the album name, and I think the hit song on that one as well. You really got to dig through these because they're deep. These are pretty deep bins here, so it's hard to dig through them, and then you kind of feel like you're seeing the same stuff over and over. But if you find some nice ones, they're definitely worth it. But now that they put them out, like, you know, since the beginning of the day, people have been picking through them all day. It's harder to find stuff. The Hobbit cartoon, I didn't know about that movie, so I ended up looking it up. It wasn't worth anything. So Winnie the Pooh, sometimes these cartoons are worth money. I ended up looking that one up. Was it worth it? Nope. Yeah, and then I just was flinging CDs. At this point, I basically thought it was time to go. And then I did find one other thing here, though, another DVD. The Smurfs, I didn't even look that one up. Hopefully it wasn't worth it. But this SpongeBob, it was The Truth or something like that. It wasn't a full season of SpongeBob or a movie. I don't really know what it was, but I looked it up and it wasn't worth money. But some DVDs of SpongeBob, like the full seasons, are worth a lot. So definitely look out for those ones. Back home, I'm going to show you guys the haul here. Got all this for $10.75 at the Goodwill bins that you just saw. So I think most of the stuff you saw on camera, but I'll just run through some stuff. So this is that plush from Lilo and Stitch. I'll just throw them down as we go. We got the Cheshire Cat with the long tail. I think that one's pretty good. Maybe an eBay item, maybe whatnot. I'm planning on running 90% of this stuff on whatnot. The Harry Potter wallet, it's great condition inside. Again, sorry, whoa, $10.75 for all this stuff. Here's the, I think his name is Boots from Dora's Explorer. Here's the Obey hat.
And this is that plush I was talking about that I had never seen before, Spunky Pup. Here's that PFG hat, basically brand new. And I can't remember if I showed this. It is like for the doggy door, these plastic frames actually sell for like 20 to 25 bucks plus shipping on eBay. So that's definitely an eBay item. I don't remember if I showed this. I found it in the DVD section. Not a good one, but I could run this one on Whatnot and maybe get a few bucks for it. And trying to save the best stuff for last. I can't remember if I got this on camera, but it's Lululemon. It's supposed to be white. It's really dirty. Probably doesn't look as dirty. The inside's really good condition though, and these are popular right now. It's like a fanny pack or a shoulder strap. So I haven't looked them up on eBay, but it could be a good eBay item or a good Whatnot as well. And the buttons, I mean like hundreds of buttons. I think could be good for Whatnot, just grabbing a handful of buttons and see if they'll go for, you know, $3, $4 a handful. And then, so this is ones, so I pulled two out in the bins. You can't really read it, but it says 1958 Snoopy. This one says 1965 Woodstock. So there's a bunch of those in there. And then a bunch of just random buttons, you know. So I don't know what my best bet is. Maybe a lot on eBay and just be like, you know, I got £1.50 of buttons here and see how much that goes for. But the big winners are these two. Oh, I did mention the Warren G Regulate album CD. It's not worth anything. There is actually the back is in there as well, but kind of just a cool one that I wanted. So this card pack, obviously not all Yu-Gi-Oh! It's 90% Yu-Gi-Oh! I did a full video of me looking through every single card that I'll upload to the channel, so stay tuned for that. It might be the end card as well if that one's out. And then this Gurin Brothers, I told you guys to look out for these because they sell for all over the place. It's a little dirty, you gotta clean it up. Anywhere from like 20 to like, honestly, like 100 bucks. Some of these are collectible. I haven't seen one exactly like this with like the rainbow rooster, we'll call him. So we'll see what I can get for that, but definitely an eBay item. And stay tuned to watch the video on the card unboxing. Follow me on Whatnot. I sell 90% of that stuff on there. And subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in another video.